Hi y'all, today I'm going to be making curried lamb, so let's take a look at the ingredients. Okay, let's take a look at the ingredients. The first stop is going to be your Indian grocer, most likely, unless you're at a store that has these items. That can be kind of tricky. But anyway, I just went to the Indian grocer and I picked up this seasoning packet, and looks like the brand is Sajata, okay? And there are different seasoning packets, so just pick the one that you think is going to work. Turn it over and look at the ingredients and see what's in it, okay? And then you're going to need basmati rice, of course, and they have these bags that they break down a huge bag of basmati rice, and then they'll put it in smaller bags so that you don't have to buy a 20-pound bag of basmati rice. Chances are you won't use that much, and you'll just prepare this according to package instructions. What I do is I put the rice in warm water, and then I put it in a strainer and rinse it off, and then add it to warm water again, rinse it again, put it in the pot. 1 cup of rice, 1.5 cups of water, and then I bring it to a boil, and then I turn off the eye, and then I put a lid on the pot and let it simmer about 20 minutes. Okay, and then you're going to need naan bread. This is also going to be served on the side. That's Naan. Okay, it looks kind of like a tortilla, okay, but it tastes a little bit different. So I think it's important to get the naan bread. And I just get the plain because I just don't want any flavors in mine. But they have different flavors of this. So, take a look around at the Indian grocer and, see what kind you like. And then, of course, there is the lamb that you're going to need. Okay, I just got the lamb sirloin chops. They're going to run around, looks like $16.99 a pound here at the Kroger in Knoxville, Tennessee. Alright, and I got the boneless. You can use the kind that has the bone, that's fine. And I'm not going to remove the fat until after the cooking process, because the fat is very important to add flavor to the dish. And so I'll wait until the meat is all broken down and everything before I remove the fat. And then you're going to need 12 ounces of water. That's 1.5 cups, and you're going to mix that with this, okay? And so stay tuned. I've removed the seasoning packet from the outer package, and it's kind of this oily, mushy kind of consistency. It's not dry and powdery, and so just want you to be aware of that, and that is completely normal for this brand. Okay, now let's take a look at the ingredients that are inside the seasoning packet. Looks like dehydrated onions, coriander leaves, sunflower oil, garlic, salt, ginger, dehydrated tomatoes, red chili powder, mint leaves, spices, acetic acid, and something called BHA to preserve the freshness. Okay, so that looks like that's what's in it, and the mint is what gives this a really interesting flavor, by the way. It makes the recipe different than probably anything you've tasted. Put this on to boil because, as you can see, I want to get the lumps out of it. I want it to be a nice, smooth, evenly mixed sauce mix before I add it to the lamb. So as soon as it's all dissolved, I'll show you the next step. Now I have added the lamb. I've removed it from the package and put it in the skillet here, and I'm going to add the sauce mix and water mixture here. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to turn down the eye to simmer or warm or low, whatever is your lowest setting, and I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to let this go for about 40 minutes, maybe to an hour, and so stay tuned. The lamb has been brought to a boil here, and then I turned over the lamb to get it started cooking on the other side, and now I'm going to cover the pot and put it on the lowest setting, which on my stove is warm. Okay, before I started cooking the rice, I put it in warm water and strained it, and then warm water again and strained it, and then I added 1 1/2 cup of water to 1 cup of rice here and a little bit of salt, and I brought it to a boil. After it's brought to a boil, you want to turn it all the way down on low, put a lid on it, and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. You want it to be nice and soft, actually, because one of the things that I like to do is press it into a mold or a cup of some sort, and then turn that upside down and have a nice pretty little display of rice there. So I'll show you what I mean by that later. So I'm gonna let this cook and I'll be right back. Okay, before I started cooking the rice, I put it in warm water and strained it, and then warm water again and strained it, and then I added 1 1/2 cup of water to 1 cup of rice here and a little bit of salt, and I brought it to a boil. After it's brought to a boil, you want to turn it all the way down on low, put a lid on it, and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. You want it to be nice and soft, actually, because one of the things that I like to do is press it into a mold or a cup of some sort, and then turn that upside down and have a nice pretty little display of rice there. So I'll show you what I mean by that later. So I'm gonna let this cook and I'll be right back. Okay, according to package instructions, this called for 40 minutes of cooking after it was brought to a boil. But what you're looking for in lamb is fork tenderness, and I don't see any here. So there's package instructions and there's real life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this pot again, and then I'm going to put it in the oven on 250, and then I'm going to check it in a couple of hours. By then it should be fork tender. You want it to be kind of like roast beef. Okay, I just took this out of the oven. It was in the oven for about 2 hours on 250, and as you can see, now I can break this apart with a fork. And that's what you want. You should be able to, it should be fork tender, okay? And as you can see, it looks kind of like roast beef in a way, but lamb is a little bit fattier, which is why you have all this fat in the pan. And you actually want that, because that is what makes this dish taste so good. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. By the way, I forgot to mention earlier this ingredient. This is going to be a garnish. When it comes to lamb dishes, mint is something that goes really well with lamb, and so I'm going to chop up this mint, and that is going to serve as a garnish for the lamb and rice. So I rinsed the mint very well, and then I tore the leaves off of the stems, and now I'm going to give it a chop. So here the mint is all chopped up now, and it is ready to be a garnish. Okay, now I have removed the lamb from the pot, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim away the fat and discard that, and I'm going to take a couple of forks and pull the meat apart, and then add it back to the gravy, that spicy gravy that I love so much. Okay, here we go. You can see why I say that this looks like roast beef. It really does have that look and texture. And here is the fat. Okay, there really wasn't much of it. You could also use your hands to do this process if they're good and clean, or you could use some nice clean gloves that haven't been used for anything else like washing dishes or whatever. But it really needs to be shredded apart before it is added back to the gravy. Added it back to the gravy, and I'm going to give it a quick stir. Okay, what I've done here is I have taken some of the lamb, and it was about maybe 3/4 of a cup, and then I took a couple of 1/4 cup scoops, and I filled the scoop with rice and then packed it down with a spoon and then turned it over onto the plate. I did that a couple of times. So we got about 1/2 cup of rice there. And now it's time to heat some naan bread, which I'm going to do in this pan here. I'm going to turn it on medium-high heat, and I'm going to place the bread in there for a few seconds and then flip it for a few seconds, and then it'll go on the plate. Okay, the pan is hot now, and so I placed the naan bread in it, and I'm going to let it heat for a few seconds, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to repeat this process every few seconds until it's warm on both sides. And then that's it, it's warm on both sides. So then there we go, Now it's on the plate, and our curried lamb and rice and naan bread is all ready to eat. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a great day. Bye-bye.